Hey there, welcome to the super awesome research segment of my podcast. Are you ready to dive headfirst into the mind-boggling world of psychology, mental health, and all things related? I hope you've got your seatbelt on because we're about to embark on a wild and fascinating journey. Before we jump in, let's make sure you're all set and ready to go. Grab yourself a tasty beverage to keep those taste buds tingling. It could be a refreshing glass of water, a strong cup of coffee, a soothing mug of tea, or hey, whatever floats your boat. We want you to be completely comfortable and fully engaged. Oh, and don't forget your trusty pen and notepad. You'll definitely want to jot down any mind-blowing insights or burning questions that pop into your head. Believe me, you won't want to miss a single nugget of wisdom that we'll be dropping. We're about to blow your mind with some seriously eye-opening stuff.
Wow.
Whether you're a psychology newbie or a seasoned expert, this discussion is going to ignite your curiosity and passion for understanding human behaviour and well-being. So get cozy, my listeners, and prepare to have your perspectives expanded and your mind buzzing with brand new ideas. Social bias is a term that refers to the tendency of individuals or groups to favour certain people or ideas over others based on personal preferences, stereotypes, or prejudices. It's like having a favourite pair of shoes that you always reach for, even though you have a closet full of other options. Picture this. You walk into a crowded room filled with all kinds of people. Your eyes immediately gravitate towards someone who looks like they share your interests or background.
Hello?
Maybe they have a similar style of clothing or speak the same way you do. That initial attraction is a form of social bias at play. Now let's get into the finer details. Social bias can manifest in various forms such as racial bias, gender bias, age bias, and more. These biases can seep into our thoughts and actions without us even realizing it. It's like a sneaky thought hiding in the shadows of our minds, influencing our decisions without us noticing. Think about it. Have you ever caught yourself assuming something about a person based on their appearance or background? That's the sneaky thoughts of social bias at work. It can cloud our judgment, affect our interactions with others, and even shape our perceptions of the world around us. But fear not, dear listeners, for awareness is the first step in combating social bias. By recognizing our own biases and striving to be more open-minded and empathetic towards others, we can challenge the sneaky thoughts and create a more inclusive and accepting society. Social bias can be based on various social characteristics. Here are some examples. 1. Race and ethnicity. Bias based on race and ethnicity is a common form of social bias. It involves making judgments, stereotypes, and discriminatory actions towards individuals or groups based on their racial or ethnic background. 2. Gender. Gender bias refers to prejudice or discrimination based on a person's gender. It can involve unequal treatment, stereotypes, and expectations placed on individuals based on their perceived gender identity or expression. 3. Age. Ageism is a form of social bias that involves stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination based on a person's age. It can affect both younger and older individuals, leading to unequal opportunities and limited social inclusion. 4. Sexual orientation. Bias based on sexual orientation involves prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination towards individuals based on their sexual orientation, such as being lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender, LGBT+. It can result in exclusion, harassment, and denial of rights and services. 5. Socioeconomic status. Bias based on socioeconomic status refers to unequal treatment or discrimination based on an individual's economic and social position. It can lead to social exclusion, limited access to resources, and unequal opportunities based on wealth, income, or social class. 6. Disability. Bias based on disability involves prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination towards individuals with physical, sensory, intellectual, or mental disabilities. It can result in limited access to education, employment, and public services, as well as social stigma and marginalisation. 7. Religion. Bias based on religion involves prejudice, stereotypes, and discrimination towards individuals or groups based on their religious beliefs or affiliations. It can lead to religious intolerance, exclusion, and conflicts. Social bias can have significant consequences on individuals and society as a whole. It can lead to inequality, exclusion, and marginalisation of certain groups, perpetuating social and economic disparities. It can also contribute to the creation and reinforcement of social norms and stereotypes, limiting opportunities for individuals and hindering social progress. Social bias can have significant consequences on individuals and society. Here are some potential outcomes. 1. Inequality and discrimination. Social bias can result in unequal treatment and discrimination against individuals based on their social characteristics. This can lead to limited access to opportunities, resources, and services, creating systemic barriers and perpetuating social and economic disparities. 2. Marginalization and exclusion. Certain groups may be marginalized or excluded from mainstream society due to social bias. This can result in social isolation, limited social networks, and reduced participation in social, economic, and political activities. 3. Stereotyping and prejudice. Social bias often leads to the creation and reinforcement of stereotypes and prejudiced attitudes. Stereotypes can perpetuate harmful generalizations and misconceptions about specific groups, leading to unfair judgments, stigmatization, and bias in various aspects of life. 4. Self-esteem and identity. Individuals who experience social bias may internalize negative stereotypes and develop lower self-esteem and self-worth. They may face challenges in developing a positive sense of identity and may struggle with feelings of belonging and acceptance. 5. Mental and physical health. Social bias can have detrimental effects on individuals' mental and physical health. Experiencing discrimination and bias can lead to stress, anxiety, depression, and other mental health issues. It can also contribute to physical health disparities due to limited access to healthcare and increased exposure to environmental risks. 6. Social cohesion and trust. When social bias is prevalent in society, it can erode trust and cohesion among different groups. This can lead to social divisions, conflicts, and a lack of social solidarity, hindering collective efforts for progress and development. In conclusion, social bias is like that friend who always wants to choose the restaurant, but ends up picking the same one every time. It's familiar, comfortable, but ultimately limiting. So let's challenge ourselves to break free from the chains of bias, embrace diversity, and celebrate the rich tapestry of humanity. Addressing social bias is crucial to mitigate these consequences and create a more inclusive and equitable society. It requires promoting awareness, education, empathy, and taking collective action to challenge and dismantle biased systems and attitudes. So let's kick those sneaky thoughts to the curb and pave the way for a brighter, more inclusive future. And that's a wrap, folks. We've come to the end of another mind-boggling research segment on My Therapy Room podcast. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this wild and wonderful segment. We hope you learned and maybe even pondered a few big questions along the way. Remember, the quest for knowledge never ends, so keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing. That's what makes us beautifully human. Catch you on the next one.